All right, so this might be one of the most important videos I'm going to make. How to think. So I probably already released, you may have already saw it, a video on how the world works. And you essentially have, obviously, and I've said this many times, you have the Davos crowd, you have the world right here, and you essentially cannot really, it's like tall poppy syndrome because you have entertainment, you have distraction, and you can't get out of that. We want to go above this. So how do we actually get to this area? That's essentially the iCharles community plus the iCharles Plus community. Quick little story. It's 2011. I'm working at, it's my first year. It's my second year of real estate. And I remember this. I was taking these two models around. They're from, I don't know, Sweden or something. They're 21. They're younger than me, and they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're moving in together. And it really started to turn my head that age doesn't really matter when it comes to making money. If you provide something and someone will pay for it. I should have actually clicked when I was watching professional sports, but I didn't. But I remember that day specifically because they took a place that I didn't think they would take at all. It was a place just south of the Trade Center at that time. It was still just a pit. Nothing, I don't think, was being built at all, even up to 2011. I could be wrong. Maybe they broke ground. Maybe they did. I don't know. It was 14, 15 years ago. But I remember it was a hot, sunny day. I'm wearing a suit. I'm walking back to Wall Street where my real estate job is, my real estate office is. And I remember passing by a newsstand, and something that was national at the time was throughout all of the news. And at the time, I was an avid Wall Street Journal listener, watcher. I consumed the paper. The whole paper. I read every single article every single day. And it really educated me to the world that I didn't know because I didn't pay attention at school. And I remember this one day because I'm passing through, and I also have to be educated to my real estate clients who are in New York City, very wealthy, very smart. They understand the world. I do not. They're coming from Ivy Leagues. I did not. I barely graduated 5 years. And there was an event. And I remember looking down and seeing the Financial Times, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the New York Post, LA Times, Washington Post, and it just had a spread. This is when people actually bought newspapers, a spread of about 8 or 9 newspapers. And it was the exact same story on all of the newspapers, except a different headline and a different angle to the photo. If they wanted to make the story positive, they had the camera looking up and the person was smiling. If they wanted mad, they were frowning and it was looking down. And in that moment, I go, something's going on here. Something's going on, because every single newspaper cannot just print the exact same story. It was a big story, but it wasn't like a story that the entire country would put the exact same story and photo, but with different angles and sways within the title. And I go, they want me to think something about this. They want something. This crowd wants me to think of something, to get distracted, to get entertained. And in that moment, I said, I was getting Newsweek every Saturday. I got to get rid of this and just see the world for how it is and not how they want me to think about it. That's the best way to say it. And it's easy to think about it that way in that context and everything like that. But the number one thing you have to do is eliminate your distractions. You must eliminate the distractions, okay? Because you have to have time to think. You have to have time to think. Every single philosopher talked about it. Every single scientist, mathematician talked about going on walks. Going on walks. So the first thing on thinking is you have to go into silence. You have to remove the entertainment and the distractions. We obviously all come from a subjective point of view, a different upbringing, different hormones, different chemicals, different family members, different jobs. You know, did we go to church? Did we not go to church? Did we go to school? Did we not go to school? How were our grades? How were our friends? What did we do? Did we do bad things in life? Did we not do good things? That all shapes the way in which you view the world. All of us, 8 billion, however many are on this earth, they all have their own subjective. It's really just a spectrum of how objective to subjective your thinking is. So subjective is absolute positive reality. That is impossible. Okay, so we're never going to be completely 100 objective on every single issue. It is impossible because there is an objective reality, yes. There is objective nature, yes. There is objective truth, yes. There is. We are not, because we're sinners, we're not the best people, okay? We have bad thoughts, we have bad thinking, we have anger, we have joy, we have just an array of thoughts and emotions going on. What we want to do is, most of society is probably around here. I always put everything around 75 plus. 75% to 80% are around here. And this is more emotion, less emotion, okay? So you have more emotion, less emotion. The more emotional you are, the more subjective it is. It's me, it's mine, it's my truth. Now, there is the truth, okay? What else do you need in here? A word we don't hear at all anymore. Man, did I have to eat this pie? I had to eat this pie. You have to be humble. You have to be humble, very humble. You have to be silent, and then you have to, this is a process. This is not overnight. This took me well over 5 years, all through COVID. You know, my father passed away in 2019, immediately entered COVID. Probably, I only started really, truly objectively thinking about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, but I was in personal development since 2009. So it's over a decade of like unlearning and then relearning. So it's 5 years of unlearning, 5 years of relearning how the world actually works, and then piecing together as good of a time to say these words. I don't know. I know it's weird. I know it's weird. This could be anything. I don't know health. I don't know money. I don't know business. For me, recently, I don't know how to code. I don't know how to vibe code. I don't know how to build. I don't know relationships. I don't know marriage, whatever. This could be any subject as granular as I don't know how to public speak. I don't know how to market. I don't know social media, okay? This is anything. You have to start here. Every skill can be learned, okay? Every skill can be learned. Not every skill will be mastered, but every skill can be learned. If you want any of these skills, it's a skill. It's just like Claude. You just go, all right, well, I need to learn this skill, and then you have a markdown file. All of this was completely foreign to me 5 months ago. What's a markdown file? I have no idea. How do you vibe code? I have no idea. How do you actually add skills? I have no idea. I don't know. Start from I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Okay? That is, especially when you want to get to objective reality and you understand there is a world in which this was created for you to function as healthy in it as possible. It will never be perfect. There will be flaws. There will be distractions. There will be terrible things that happen. There will be suffering. No one guaranteed nothing but you living. And that isn't even guaranteed. You were born and you die. And there is years in between that. And how you live that depends on this and how you think. They don't want you to do this, and they want you to be subjective in more emotion 80% of the time. Pareto's principle, everybody knows it. It's 80-20. That was when the world was probably, what, 2 billion people, 1 billion people? I don't know. I have no idea. But the 80-20 is that 20% of the results, or 20% of the things result in 80%. So for him, he was looking at 20% of the bank accounts yield 80% of the money. 20% of the crops yield 80% of the food. This could be anything. 20% of the presidents are known by 80% of the people. 20% of the players score 80% of the goals. 20% of the coaches have 80% of the Stanley Cups. It's the only metric that's true. And that essentially is 20% of the business make 80% of the money. 20% of the real estate agents do 80% of the business. It's this, it's that, it's that. It's all connected. It's all connected. I don't think we're at 80-20 because the population is so engrossed in social media. I think it's 5-95. 5% of the people do 95% of the thing. 5% of the companies, 5% of the players, 5% of the coaches, 5% of business owners, 5% of the contractors, 5% of the businesses own 95% of all the wealth, 5% of the people. Whatever you want to say. I think it's more towards this. I could go and be okay with 90-10 to make it a little bit more fair. To make it a little bit more fair, I would go with 90-10. But at his time, it was 80-20 because there wasn't enough competition. Right now, I look at it as there's no competition. There's no competition on how to think. Go spend whatever amount of money you want. Come to New York City. I'm in New York City. I'm looking at Times Square. A girl is advertising with bikini on. That's very inappropriate to the masses. And walk into a subway. Walk into mass transit. Go to your major local city and go on the public transportation if it's a thing. Go to LA, New York. New York is the best because it's mass transportation. It's not, I have a car and I happen to use the bus. It is nobody has a car and everyone uses the train. Everyone is just doing this. Said it many times. You must, the new economy, lowercase c, you must become this. I don't care what you create. I don't care what you create. Create whatever you want. Create, just on weekends, create a chair, a bench, create a painting, a mural, play an instrument, create where you are essentially having your landscape beautiful. Okay, make your garden beautiful, whatever, create social media, create a website, create a business. Creation is what we need to do because that is the opposite of how they want you to think. Creation involves more than just me. What do the people want? What do people want? While I'm vibe coding, what does the members want? How do I give them value? What I actually don't know. And I did that brainstorming live. And I said, okay, what is the value of this community? What is the value? How do we get here? How do we get to this spot? How do we get above the entertainment and distractions? What is the value I'm going to bring the iCharles community? And I did a brainstorming session. I said, okay, silence, humble myself, say, I don't know. And then ideas will soon flow once you do this over and over, over and over, over and over, over and over. Ideas will flow and they don't make sense. Community, there's security, there's marketing. How do I bring value? What do they want? Bug issues. Okay, the server's down. There's so many things all over the place. But for you to do this properly, these things must be in place. And to be honest, they're essentially they're the same. Because when you're in silence, you are not being distracted. When you're being humble, you're not being distracted. You're being objective. You're not being emotional. You're not thinking as much. You essentially outline, and I have done that video, brainstorming video. Okay, I have a problem right now. What is the problem? My problem, and I laid it out, is my Mac Studio cannot handle the bandwidth. It can't handle the ROM. It can't handle the storage. It's on my own ISP, my own internet service provider. Okay, so this is the problem. This is the problem. Okay, what is the solution? We have to go into silence. We have to humble ourselves, say, I don't know. Okay, let's go to YouTube. Let's use someone else's servers. I have to humble myself because what have I been saying for 3 weeks? I've been saying that you could build anything you want. You can, and I said you could build anything you want, host it on your computer, never use anyone else at any time. And then I noticed YouTube does a really good job at encoding and making sure the video plays and renders properly in any environment, in any Wi-Fi situation. And I don't own any of the ROM data. It's up to the internet service provider of who's watching. Okay, let's go to YouTube. Literally on the stream, I made the decision. Actually, it was the video that did not. I had to humble myself and say, you know what? If I want the best, so objective is the best, I got to humble myself and say, I got to use Cloudflare. I got to use Cloudflare. I want to customize my video player so I get the best of both worlds. It's a hybrid. I got my video player, their servers. I pay for it and it's bandwidth and I'm making no money, but it's beautiful. And it's not using YouTube interface, which is terrible. It's great, it works, but I can't customize it. It's not beautiful. It's not Vimeo. It doesn't have the security of Wistia. Anyone can download it. Anyone can share it, even unlisted, even on okay, you know what, Charles? Humble yourself, sit in silence. How are we gonna make Cloudflare work? This entire week was about making Cloudflare work, and it's still banging in the background, not working. It's very humbling experience to say, I don't know, and we got to go. We're going this way. Oh, crap. We're going to YouTube. Even worse, we're going here. Complete 90-degree angle turn against what you've been saying. There has to be, in this time period with AI, a no holds bar, complete gas, no brake, red lighting the engine on change. That's why this crowd is not happy. Literally, in this place in Switzerland, all of the people who went and spoke, 2 of them said they don't know any, and these are the public people listening to private citizens, and obviously there's intermingling and rooms we're not allowed in, thank God. But they said the government doesn't want this. The government is so, they don't want the right turn. They don't want to humble themselves. They don't want to be silent. And they do know. They don't want to say, I don't know. They want to say, I do know. Come to me. I know how to solve this. So this crowd is totally different now. This crowd is very different now. Coming from people who actually were there, who spoke there, they had to literally spell it out, kind of how I was learning AI. Charles, this is what a markdown file is. This is what a memory markdown file is. This is what a Claude markdown file is. This is what a design markdown file is. I don't know, Claude. You have to walk me through this. I have to be humble and silent to be able to think, to be unemotional. And this is the biggest thing is you are unemotional to this thing. You have to be unemotional to this thing, completely unemotional to the outcome. I can say this in any way possible. When I was learning on what women wanted, how to be in a relationship, how to give value to the world, how to make videos, how to do property tours as a real estate agent, how to make sales calls, how to do a presentation, how to actually do customer service. I was called hubris by someone I wanted to do business with early in life. I had no idea what that word meant. I had to look it up. They're like, you have way too much hubris. We're not going with you. And I was like, what? I don't know. I don't know what that word means. Oh, what you're saying is I'm not this. I'm not this. And then you got to be okay with the outcome where you now allow the customer to talk 80% of the time instead of you talking 80% of the time. And to be honest, the best salespeople, it's 90-10. You're just asking questions. All I was saying was statements. I wasn't humble. I was saying statements. I was saying facts. But the facts were based on my subjective reality and not the objective reality of what they wanted. Not what I wanted them for them, but what they wanted. I want to sell my house, $2 million. Well, your house is not worth $2 million. I got to move because my job is making me move. I have to sell it at $2 million. Well, we can't get it. Well, Charles, you're not asking the right question because actually their constraint may not be money. Their constraint is actually time. I got to get somewhere for my job. So I'm like, okay, do we rent there? Do we sell at a discount? You got to ask questions. And then you come to an outcome that you don't care what the outcome is. You just want to become as objective as possible, humbling yourself in silence, saying, I don't know. I don't know. And I'm open to any outcome. You can even start a Claude session. Go to Claude. Hey, Claude, new client. I don't know anything about their business. I don't know anything about public speaking, about design, whatever. I don't know how I keep on getting the same feedback from multiple people. I don't know why that is. I'm completely humble and open to the outcome. I don't know. Why do you think this is happening? Why do you think presentations, I'm only getting 20% and the best agents are getting 80%? Why is that? Well, let's actually role play through this. Maybe it's your presentation style. Maybe you're not asking questions. Maybe there's not enough visuals. Maybe it's too long. Maybe you're not actually allowing them to talk. Maybe it's your commission. Doesn't know. I have no idea. I have no idea. And that was the day down in the trade center, 100 degrees with a full suit, walking from the West Side Highway back to Wall Street where my job was. And I go, maybe I don't know how the world works. If all 10 major newspapers give the exact same story and they all have a different spin, that's weird. So that means they are emotional about the subject and being subjective about the subject. They're not being objective. They're giving emotional manipulation to me as the reader, where I would normally go to the Wall Street Journal. I go, well, New York Times is saying something different. The Washington Post is saying something different. New York or LA Times is saying something different. This is weird. Let me read a little bit. What do they say? What do they say? Because I don't know. I don't know about this news story. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea. So if you want to learn how to think, this is a daily process. Start with something that you don't know about, that you want to know about. What skill do you want to learn? It could be health. It could be sleeping. I thought I knew sleeping until I read How to Sleep, and then I reread it. I thought I knew habits until I read James Clear's book. Those two books, must read. Top 5 books I've ever read in my life. I had no idea habits were a thing that you can actually get into, and there's a science behind it. And the book was really, really good. It was really good. I learned a skill. I learned you can actually track your sleep through an Oura ring. I learned that you can actually put guardrails in your life. Coffee after 3, not a good thing. Having decaf, not eating too late, not drinking too late, not having liquids, making sure that you stop liquids so you're not going to the bathroom and you're waking up and then restarting the REM sleep. I had no idea. I gained a skill. So the action plan is to start thinking about this in silence. Don't grab your phone when you get on an elevator. You're online getting a salad or food, don't get on your phone. You're done with a coding session or done with a phone call, don't get on your phone. Just to start evaluating things as objectively as possible. That's the best way to start. You're not leapfrogging into a professor role at MIT. You are being a normal person who's trying to get on this side where you're less emotional about the outcome, as long as you're objective, humbling, and being silent to learn a skill. So you're not entertained and remain with the rest of the world. Best way to say it. I highly recommend that you start today. My life is so content. I'm okay with so much. People are, what do you mean you don't watch the news? Well, what if? What if what? What if what? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Get on internet and make a video like everyone else and just be distracted? Or am I going to become a creator, lowercase c, so other people can understand the way in which I have viewed the world so wrongly for my entire life until recently? Start today. Get a whiteboard. Start. What are my goals? All right. I'm overweight. Okay. I want to make money. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to have more downtime. I want to be less stressed out. Okay. There's actually an art around all those things that I just said. Stress is a good thing when applied properly. Stressing when you're at the gym. Stressing when you are brainstorming. Oh, man, that's not good. What else is good? Not stressing about entertainment, distractions, where there is no brainstorming. That's not good. Stressing about things that are out of your control, conversations that happened. That conversation happened, okay? That conversation happened, and it went the way it did. Do I wish thousands of conversations went differently? Absolutely, including recently. I can think of many right now. I objectively was emotional, and it didn't go well. I was here during that conversation when I should have been here. Okay, Charles, you got to reset yourself before you enter that realm or arena of conversations. So start today. Something that is bothering you. Somewhere you're stuck. Somewhere you're saying, tomorrow. No, tomorrow I'll do it. Tomorrow I'll hit the gym. Tomorrow I'll start saving money. Tomorrow the marriage, relationship. I know she's mad at me now. I know I haven't gone on a date in years. I will tomorrow. No, start small. Ask, okay? I'll leave it on this. Why do I say that? Why do I say that? Let's take this out. Why do I say that? We'll end on this. Because everything is a funnel. Oh, just drew on myself. Everything is a funnel, okay? To get to your outcome, there are steps. And you're not going to like the steps, and it's going to be very bumpy. And I outlined this in the other video, but say you want to have a IRA, Roth IRA. Well, you first have to actually send out your resume. So you got to send out your resume, your CV. Okay, then you got to be interviewed. Okay, then they have to say yes to your interview. And by the way, they could say no, and they don't even have to say yes to your interview. In other words, you keep on going step by step by step. And each one of these can be a brainstorm. Okay, I don't know how to do a CV. I don't know how to do a CV. I don't know how to do an interview. How do I convince them to hire me? Well, that happened to me in real estate. I had no idea. They're like, how are you going to get business? Literally my first interview, I said, I don't know. She said, like, friends, referrals, past business. I was like, I don't know. I literally said that in the interview. I have no idea how to get business, but please hire me. She looked at me like I had 14 heads. Never heard from her again. I said, okay, well, I don't know how to interview. I don't know how to get business. I don't know how to be a real estate agent, but I'm going to probably end up starting. You have to understand that this is a funnel. It's the same thing with the iCharles community. It's a funnel. You have viewers, then you have people that want a little bit more. They subscribe. They start watching daily videos. They start understanding, I want more of this guy. I want to become part of the team or become part of the iCharles community. I'm going to start paying. I like the trial. I'm going to start paying. Ooh, we had churn because they just didn't like this. This is not their cup of tea. It's not their style. So I said, all right, well, this is just a very unique community. It's a very unique community. It's not broad. Unfortunately, it's not broad. It's very narrow. That's fine. I'm looking for narrow. Okay, once they're part of the community, how do you add value? How do you add value in your resume? How do you add value in the interview? How do you add value so they say yes? How do you add value so you actually get a job so then you can open an IRA and start saving? It's all about value. You have to understand, and value is very different across the board. You could be at Apple and the value that sales gives, support, marketing, research and development, the CEO, the board members, the investors, the shareholders, they all add in different value. One's monetary, one's time, one's thinking, one's ideas, one's doing, one's production, one is shipping, one is selling, it's all over the place. So you have to literally go into brainstorming what your value is, be humble about it, silent, not be emotional, and start with, I don't know. So you can learn how to think. And then you can learn how to ideate. Then ideas start coming together. Ideas, features, design ideas, how to be more progressive in moving the ball forward in your business. So if you like the video, leave the comments below. I'm going to be doing a lot of these videos because this is what I do at the whiteboard. It's just, I go to the whiteboard, I start spitting out facts as objective as my reality is. Not everything is going to be agreed upon. I hope you disagree with 20% and you agree with 80%. If it's below that, I'm not adding enough value and you're going to churn. You're going to leave. That's how it is. I'm looking for my 80%. That's it. I'm happy at 80%. 20% never will become a subscriber. And just know that. Be okay. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. There has been many times where I've left the conversation and I talk to my friend and I go, I don't think they like me. And they're like, they don't like you at all, actually. I was like, that was just a normal conversation. Like, he just doesn't like you. I know my buddy's best friend, he went to school. That guy doesn't like me. Why? I don't know. But that's the outcome. The outcome is, I don't know. He doesn't like me. Okay? Accept it. Accept it. Radical acceptance. So I'll see you guys on the next video. And any questions or video ideas, let me know. That's actually a new feature. Video ideas. That's a great new feature. All right, guys. Talk to you.